transmissions detected.
Kill them all.
Hello, my friends. It's scary to think about how many of us have come and gone from here, and we see the cities left in ruins. Some of them were dug out of the ground and are tourist attractions now. As for the real history, well, nobody knows exactly what happened. In the past, there were destructive events that took out most modern cities by fires, floods, and earthquakes, and which in turn it destroyed the history. All, by the way, the fires, floods, and earthquakes we can do with technology today. This trend was going on back then, weird celestial events, and something about entire groups of people disappearing without a trace. Now, most civilizations left manuscripts or texts, but I bring this to your attention. Why in every part of this world did they happen to just keep the religious ones safe? Just a thought. And all the ancient stories have the same star gods, the same aliens, the same monsters. Doesn't that seem out of place to you? How are all of them insane or mistaken at the same time? I doubt that's the case, but they left warnings and prophecies to tell the next group of us about what happened, about future events, who their enemies were, what happened to them on a regular day, the do's and don'ts, the dangers they encountered, and so on. Oh, and the mapping and exploring they did, which is, we get told they're crazy. The captain's map showing the land of giants in the north, where the mountains and ice and snow are, ignore those stories at all costs. And have you noticed they still deny the giants, like we don't already know? They stick to their lie, and it's not because everyone at the Smithsonian is stupid, I assure you. It's on purpose. But have you noticed what gets repeated daily is the ancient religions and beliefs? They will say that and repeat those vibrations every day, and it makes no sense to me. They're made relevant because some of their prophecies of what's going to happen in the future are told in them. But they tell like a different story, the made-up one from the bad guys. And almost every age documented about a time far off from theirs where a great battle takes place, involving humans, heavenly beings, and what can only be described as monsters. Some report that they had had this battle worldwide once before. Apparently, the second and final showdown is coming. And this go-around, they'll all meet at a place called Armageddon, with humans and their technology joining in. Even the occult, religions predict this end-of-the-world event. It's the same story, just flip-flop everything around. And going back to ancient times, this is what was considered secret knowledge. Future events, that's all the secret was. And in this future prophecy, it was the return of what we call the Nephilim gods. It was taught to men by fallen angels, celestial beings, some people call them aliens, whatever you want to say. Neither of them belong here. One, however, does not exist, and one is merely imprisoned here. Do your research. The evidence for it is overwhelming. Now, this was hidden because of the issues most people would have with it. Demons and angels and humans all in some final showdown. That's a movie. That's too unbelievable. And it's funny considering that we're programmed or taught from childhood. We fly through space and it's full of aliens from other planets and they could invade us any day. Evolution is a fact. All the things that go against God are taught to us. So what's the problem with us believing it? Because we get the watered down rated G versions of everything. The ones that make what goes on here seem normal in some way where you don't question it. A long time ago, people knew about all this. They knew about extra land, the special places that were hidden away, and who inhabited them. They also knew that there was two choices, good or bad. As years went by, the less people remembered. Or they knew It was eventually hidden away. It was reserved for the elite and the rulers to keep secret. You can't have peasants knowing the future. They could rise up against you, and something could happen in our, to our little, all-powerful little section of people here. We can't have nothing happening to us. We got to keep the king rule going. But something happened in our past that we don't know about. It in turn caused this confusion and deletion of history because only a few people ended up with it. Was it this little small group that wanted to protect themselves? Nobody knows, but it had to be. And I noticed one of the things that was taught lately is knowledge, though. That's the problem I'm having. When doing the research, it happens to be what the priests of the ancient times practiced. That might not be too good for us to be involved in. Now, they considered the serpents and the dragons that they summoned to be gods. That was weird. And I noticed, just like Santa's sleigh, the little meter on it, it can't fly unless it gets filled, unless it gets some power, unless humans believe and make wishes and pray and all that, right? It's the same example of how God gets power from us. It works on the bad guys too, I take it, right? Well, in Revelation it tells us they worshiped this dragon and it gave power to the beast. And then they worshiped the beast, saying, who can make war with him? Who's better? Who can best him? See, we're told one of the secrets right there. If humans pray to or worship to any spirit, it gives it power. That's how it works in this crazy world we live in. And every single civilization knew this. And whoever did it, who made an accord with these spirits to get the secrets, well, their megalithic and ancient sites in all the surrounding areas are what now? Wastelands. Most were abandoned thousands of years ago, and only until recently were we able to look at them. We marvel at their size and beauty, the precision and architecture, and they look like they were purposefully destroyed. Some of them, they look blown up. Not a stone upon a stone is left, just what we walk up and turn up, and stand upright. Some are completely intact and beautiful, but the people vanished, all of them at one time, just gone. Now, these places used to have trees, plenty of food and water and grass. Now, not so much. They're mainly deserts now. No one knows exactly what went on because, well, they were long gone when we showed up. We just read about them, or we're told about them, what's passed down by native stories, theorized by archaeologists, and very few written texts. But most of them are not able to be confirmed. One thing that stands out to me is the places and events that our grandfathers told us about. They're real, and they coincide with that. Most of them we can see with our own eyes. For instance, just one out of many, Sodom and Gomorrah. They said sulfur rained down from heaven and burned the place to the ground. If you've ever done your research on that, it's crazy. We go there now and guess what we find? Sulfur balls all embedded into the ground, everywhere, even into the rocks. They've melted through the rocks. Everything's in ashes. In no way is this normal, but under close investigation, the story seems totally true and plausible. To the people around there, imagine this. When it went down, it was the end of the world to them. I mean, fire came down from heaven. Imagine that scenario. And it was always the end of the world to somebody, And during my lifetime, the end of the world was supposed to have happened a few times already. Nobody knows the day or the hour. Everybody just knows the age. Well, in 2000, people freaked out because they said computers would reset the world. I went to bed sound asleep that night, didn't even worry, because I know the end of the world's not going to be caused by no computer. And then they said the Mayans predicted it in 2012. I slept like a baby that night, too, because I knew that wasn't going to happen either. And because every age comes around in cycles like clockwork, I thought, you know what? Since it is pretty accurate, their calendars, maybe it was 2012 BC, and they did witness an event. We know the dates are wrong, so who really knows, what that's about, right? But these Mayan and Aztec structures I was looking into, the landing pads, the temples, whatever they are, I say they were built before the flood, and the facts show this. The Aztec and Mayans showed up, and they added to them, because you can see the different, layers of construction like you can all over the world. The fallen angels or the gods to them are who told the Mayan priests and the Aztec priests this supposed secrets to the heavens. That's not me saying it. Academia admits the story says it was their demon serpent gods that made them aware of future events. There was also a crocodile god that loved to eat eggs, humans, drink blood. I mean, there wasn't just one of these things either, but a bunch of them. Seriously though, who worships something that you have to feed like a monster? You have to be mental, They're all the same. I'm not picking on the Mayans or the Aztecs, okay? They were just neighbors and they did the same things, and there's a huge area there. And they're a good example of what happens to a society when we know they were consumed with making wishes and offerings to these so-called gods. What happened to them when summoning them, and what happens when you receive this teaching of this ancient knowledge. Apparently bad things, right? When we read about them, nobody wants to tell, they were drug addicts, demon worshippers. They killed for sport. They killed for fun. They killed for rituals. Blood was, not sacred to them. It was a means of getting something. Life was meaningless, including their own children's lives. Some people nowadays want to learn what they did, what they were taught. You want to talk to the people that they were talking to? No, thank you. Because not only does it look like they were erased one day, historians agree their disappearance is a mystery. They vanished and no records of what happened. The texts that we do have speak of portals that they opened, demons they summoned, and what walked through physically manifested itself before them all. The stories are wretched and cruel. I mean, evil's more like it, but humans were apparently feeding these things. Whatever they were. With dinosaurs, I don't know. It just so happened to be famous old serpenty dragon gods again, But nobody knows. I mean, they were either crazy or it happened. It's just up for you to decide. Now, in the 1500s, there was one major Mayan city left in Guatemala. That's what they say. And there's no record of why the others were gone. LiDAR shows just how many there were, and it appears to have been millions of people inhabiting these places. By 1697, Spanish troops, they say, left the last Mayan city officially standing, okay? Now, history says it wasn't until about 1797 to 1800 scholars took notice all the Mayans were gone. Nobody knew why, and hardly any tablets or texts were left to explain it. And the ones that were tell of things from sci-fi movies, right? My theory is the end of the world came for them in the form of the Great Flood. Someone made up the history like they do everything else. They told a different story so nobody would know what really happened. Why are there cities under several feet of earth and jungle, like they were buried by a flood? Why are they sitting under the ocean? I mean, if it's only been a few hundred years. But scientists say the oceans didn't rise until the Ice Age, 10,000 years ago? Obviously somebody is lying, their dates are wrong, and who can guess who? Some people say that when they summoned these demons and sacrificed to them, they gave them secrets. And that appears throughout history to us as poison. It's not knowledge. It's a form of self-destruction for humans, because anyone who did this, they didn't really fare too well. And think of this. They learned to go to the spirit world with their witch doctors and their shamans, who knew what drug to take, the ways to summon the starmen, the rituals to call the serpent gods up. Afterwards, they had them land on huge flat-top structures. That circuit board city that everybody knows about, Teotihuacan, the Aztec city, that's the city of the gods. Beings apparently landed there. Aliens are what they want to be called now. I guess it's easier to swallow, but whenever the same rituals and same invitations are extended today, the same so-called gods show up every time. And what do we think they did? Build these things and lie about it all? It took a long time to do that. So I sincerely doubt it. And we see with our own eyes the landing pads, and they even call them landing pads. And they say the gods literally landed their ships there. So who was it? I say it was our old friends again. Nowadays, a lot of people are seeking this knowledge, and they don't understand. What kind do you have to pick from in this snake den, and can you be so sure of yourself? And the problem is nobody wants to tell the stories how they really happened. The one they teach they make light of the situation, playing with spirits. They don't want to tell what happened to them when they did this. I take it it's not cool to tell the parts nobody wants to hear. Being as gods, awakening the inner self, that's what people want now. Today, the most sought after is immortality. They'll look for it anywhere. And by machine or altering their genetics, whoever wants it doesn't care where it comes from. That's the desired power nowadays. And they'll take that gift from anyone that has it to offer, no matter the cost. To certain men of the earth, this is priceless. It always has been, and it always will be. And for years, you see scientists trying to make one thing mix with the other to make everything better, but they only ruin everything. Just like before. A warning from the grave told us that this was to be a sign of the ages when they do this. That's when you'll know it's about to go down. Currently, there's almost nothing on this earth that has not been genetically modified in some way. Rarely is anything allowed to be pure. Even when a little human is born, doctors will instantly try to poison it. And don't think it makes any difference what religion you practice on this earth, despite what recent men have claimed, and holy men and anyone else. There's only been two roads to choose from, good or bad. There's no third or in between. If you think it doesn't matter either way, I don't think you grasp what's in store for this world. They're preparing and reading from certain things. And, well, shouldn't we do the same? Hidden knowledge, y'all, is a curse. I think this is the last ditch effort to make not one of us worthy. To make everyone, go to that spirit world and mess with everything that we're told not to. So not one amongst us would be even slightly worthy. Just children and sick-minded. That's the only ones that'll get a free pass, not us. And if for not some other force stepping in and helping us, can't you see it's inevitable that everything would end very bad for us either way, whether there's a God or not? And if there's really truly aliens, well, we need to do something about that, because it's getting crazy. Every now and then, look, we should repeat the words that were left to us. They repeat the vibrations of their God into the ether every single day. They put their signs and symbols on everything. They steady repeat their rituals and their chants and their crap. And it's alleged to be almost magical when you do this. Well, how about when you speak the truth? What does that do? History lessons written by our grandfathers are even scarier to me than what they say. It's sweet to the tongue and sour to the stomach. And if you don't know that, the truth sounds sweet and wonderful to say, but it'll grab your soul and make your heart sink into the pit of your stomach because you know it's true. You know that this is more powerful than that. Some ancient texts will put goosebumps all over your body no matter who wrote it, no matter who said it. And that's how you know when something's from God, when something's true. A human's heart, even if it's corrupted, it knows truthful words when they hear it. And throughout the years, there's never been a time like today. That's how we know something's going on. Not one that we can remember, okay? But we have to not look at these scriptures as text. Like I said, when they repeat what they're doing it for a purpose. They're a set of frequencies. When spoken out loud, they're uplifting, they're healing. They give courage and strength. We know this. Because when your favorite song comes on, don't you get lifted up? When you hear something, won't it give you a memory, blast you with adrenaline, inspire you, bring power to your heart, right? Vibrational frequency is real. It affects every living thing and any object on this earth. It's fact. And I've said many times before, people are being misled about, what exactly these ancient tablets of wisdom really say. What people are repeating into the ether, what vibration is being spoken and repeated every single day. Like the Enuma Elish, the Sumerian tablets, all the other crap that gets quoted. That's from the bad guys. Like that dude Billy Carson, he runs his mouth and tells stories as if they were complete fact. He quotes these texts and says, this is what they say, but I'm sorry to say this to everyone. It gives me no pleasure to do it. But that man is a liar and a fraud. What he's saying is completely untrue. When the official documented transcriptions are completely opposite of what he says, would that not be considered a bit misleading? It was Zachariah Stitchens that he quotes. He's the one who started the ancient aliens mess. Do your research, it's an absolute fact. But let me tell you what the official Wikipedia page says about Zachariah Stitchins, what this Billy Carson guy repeats, what everyone repeats, what all these people argue over and claim as hidden knowledge. Now this is what Wikipedia says. You know how they'll take up for their buddies, but they don't take up for him? They say, I quote, Stitchins' ideas have been resoundingly rejected by scientists, academics, and historians. Anthropologists and everyone dismiss his work as pseudoscience, pseudo-history, and his work has been criticized for flawed methodology, ignoring archaeological and historical evidence, and mistranslations of ancient texts, as well as for incorrect astronomical and scientific claims. Stitchins was also extremely criticized for his books and papers on the Anunnaki. They say he was definitely a fan of the dark spirits because he believed the Nephilim and the Anunnaki were one and the same. I believe that too, but nobody repeats it. Do your research. If you believe the tablets of Thoth, the Enuma Elish, or the Anunnaki is a real history lesson, okay, go see for yourself, because there's no law that forbids historians, archaeologists, or Billy Carson from lying to you. That sucks, but it's a real fact. Now, the actual story that's, the real story is better than the made-up ones anyway. All that Sumerian and Anunnaki mess, tablets of Thoth, the demon gods, I'm just actually sick of those clowns, that big circus show there. This is what our great-grandfather Ezra wrote to us thousands of years ago. It's not considered knowledge. It's considered truth, history. It has more to chew on than being visited or invaded by aliens, I assure you, and I'm not digging or mining for nothing for nobody anyway. So, at this point in time, I refuse to ever repeat those lies ever again because they're worthless. During my research, I realized they didn't create anything. They only deceived humans, they lied to us, they enslaved us, and they defiled everything. They only wished they did something meaningful. Predicting the end of the world by no means is something I would listen to them for. They just wanted to be like the Most High. That's it. In the true hidden books, what the good guys write says this. This is from 2nd Ezra. In the beginning, when the earth was made, before the portals of the world were fixed, and before the gatherings of the winds blew, before the voices of the thunder sounded, and before the flashes of the lightning shone, before the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, before the powers of the earthquake were established, and before the innumerable army of angels were gathered together, before the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, and before the footstool of Zion was established, before the present years were reckoned, before the imaginations of those who now sin were estranged, and before they were sealed up who have gathered theirself faith for a treasure. Then I considered these things, and they all were made through me alone, and not through another, just as by me also they will be ended, and not by another. Yeah, I noticed they're watching the heavens really closely, y'all. I wonder why. Maybe it's because, crazy stuff's about to happen? Here's another verse. Now concerning the signs, this is Ezra talking to the Most High and to the angel. Now concerning the signs, behold, the days are coming when those who dwell on earth shall be seized with great terror. The way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. The unrighteous shall be increased beyond what you yourself see, and beyond what you heard of formerly. And the land which you now see ruling shall be waste and untrodden, and men shall see it desolate. But if the Most High grants that you live, you shall see it thrown into confusion after the third period, and the sun shall suddenly shine forth at night, and the moon during the day. Blood shall drip from wood, and the stone shall utter its voice. The peoples shall be troubled, and the stars shall fall. And one shall reign whom those who dwell on earth do not expect. And the birds shall fly away together. And the sea of Sodom shall cast up fish. And one from whom they do not know shall make his voice heard by night. And all shall hear his voice. And there shall be chaos also in many places. And fire shall often break out. And the wild beasts shall roam beyond their haunts. And menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. And salt waters shall be found in the sweet. And all friends shall conquer one another. Then shall reason hide itself, and wisdom shall withdraw into its chamber. and it shall be sought by many, but will not be found. And unrighteousness and unrestraint shall increase on the earth. And one country will ask its neighbor, has righteousness or anyone who does right passed through you? And it will answer, no. Well, I don't know what's going on here, but it goes on to say, when Ezra's being told these secrets, if the place where you're standing is greatly shaken while this voice is speaking, don't be terrified, because the word concerns the end, and the foundations of the earth will understand that the speech concerns them, and they will tremble and be shaken, for they know that their end must be changed. When I heard this, I rose to my feet and listened, and behold, a voice was speaking, and its sound was like the sound of many waters. And it said, Behold, the days are coming, and it shall be that when I draw near to visit the inhabitants of earth, and when I require from the doers of iniquity the penalty of their iniquity, and when the seal is placed upon the age which is about to pass away, then I will show these signs. The books will be opened before the firmament, and all shall see it together. Infants a year old shall speak with their voices, and women with child shall give birth to premature children at 3 and 4 months. And these shall live and dance. Sown places shall suddenly appear unsown, full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And the trumpet shall sound aloud, and when all hear it, they will be suddenly afraid and terrified. At that time, friends shall make war on friends like enemies, and the earth and those who inhabit it shall be terrified. And the springs of the fountains shall stand still, so that for 3 hours they will not flow. And it shall be that whoever remains after all that I've foretold you shall himself be saved, and shall see the salvation and the end of my world. You see, my friends, that sounds like truth. The tablets of Thoth don't sound like knowledge to me. The Enuma Elish, the Nibiru crap, all that stuff does not sound like knowledge and secret truth to me. Remember, you only have 2 choices, yin and yang, truth, and falseness, good or evil. Choose wisely. Stay away from that spirit world. It's going to show itself soon enough to us all. There's no need to rush it. Time's almost up, we see it. And men, they're powerless to stop it no matter what they think. It's already been pre-approved by the higher-ups. And I'll leave you with these words, these vibrations of speech. On this day I call the heavens and earth as witnesses against you, that I've set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose for yourself life, so that you and your children may live. And this is the meaning of the contest which every man who is born on earth shall wage. So fear none of those things which you've suffered. Behold, it will come to pass that the devil shall cast some of you into prison, and that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. But be faithful to the end, and I will give you a crown of everlasting life. And that's what I needed to say about that, my friends. My love to y'all. I'm Wild Dog, and I am out of here.